I'm 76 years old, and I need to tell you about the biggest mistake I made as a father. A mistake that took me 53 years to understand, and by the time I figured it out, it was too late to fix the damage.
For decades, I thought being a good father meant being tough, strict, teaching my children that life is hard and they needed to be harder. I thought my job was to prepare them for the real world by making sure they could handle anything it threw at them. I was wrong about everything. My children are successful adults today. They have good jobs, nice families, respect in their communities. They turned out exactly the way I hoped they would. But here's what breaks my heart every single day. They don't enjoy being around me. They visit out of duty, not desire. They respect me, but they don't like me. And I have no one to blame but myself. Let me take you back to 1972. I was 28 years old, married to my college sweetheart Janet, and we just had our first child, Tommy. Beautiful little boy with his mother's eyes and his father's stubborn streak. I was determined to be a better father than mine had been. My dad was absent, weak, let my mother walk all over him. When things got tough, he disappeared into his workshop or his bottle. I swore I would be different, strong, present, a man my children could count on. I read parenting books. Not many men did that in 1972, but I wanted to do this right. Everything I read said the same thing. Children need structure, discipline, clear expectations. Spare the rod, spoil the child. Tough love builds character. So that's what I gave them, tough love. When Tommy was learning to walk and fell down, I didn't rush to comfort him. I told him to get up and try again. Men don't cry over every little bump, I'd say. You're stronger than that. When he brought home a B+ on a test, I didn't celebrate. I asked why it wasn't an A. Good enough isn't good enough in this family, I'd tell him. You can always do better. When he struck out in Little League, I didn't tell him it was okay. I made him practice in the backyard until dark. Winners don't make excuses, I'd say. They work harder. I thought I was building character, teaching resilience, preparing him for a world that wouldn't coddle him the way his mother wanted to. 2 years later, we had Sarah. Same approach. When she cried because the other girls were mean to her at school, I told her to toughen up. When she came home excited about a drawing she'd made, I pointed out how she could improve it. When she wanted to quit piano because it was hard, I made her practice extra hours. Life doesn't care about your feelings. I'd tell both of them, the world will chew you up and spit you out if you're not strong enough to handle it. I'm teaching you to be strong. Janet tried to balance me out. She was the soft one, the hugger, the one who kissed their scraped knees and told them they were wonderful just as they were. I thought she was too easy on them. We fought about it constantly. They need encouragement, she'd say. They need to learn that encouragement comes from achievement, I'd respond. The real world won't praise them for trying. It only rewards success. As the kids got older, I got stricter. When Tommy was 16 and brought home a C in chemistry, I grounded him for a month and made him get a tutor. When Sarah wanted to date a boy I didn't approve of, I forbade it and lectured her about making better choices. I set high standards for everything: grades, behavior, chores, attitude. I never let them slide, never cut them slack. Every mistake was a learning opportunity. Every failure was a chance to build character. I'm not your friend, I'd tell them when they complained. I'm your father. Friends tell you what you want to hear. Fathers tell you what you need to hear. And what they needed to hear, according to me, was that they weren't working hard enough, weren't trying hard enough, weren't good enough yet, but could be if they applied themselves. Tommy graduated high school with a 3.8 gigapascals and a full scholarship to college. Sarah graduated valedictorian, and went to medical school. I was proud of their achievements, proud that my tough approach had worked. But something was missing. Even as teenagers, they didn't come to me with their problems. They went to Janet. When they were excited about something, they shared it with her, not me. When they needed comfort or advice or just someone to listen, they never came to their father. I told myself that was normal. I was the disciplinarian. Janet was the nurturer. We had different roles, and that was fine. I was wrong. The real wake-up call came when Tommy got married. He was 26, successful engineer, marrying a wonderful woman named Lisa. At the reception, they asked family members to give toasts. Janet spoke about how proud she was of Tommy, how kind and caring he'd become, how lucky Lisa was to marry such a loving, gentle man. Then it was my turn. I stood up and talked about Tommy's achievements, his grades, his job, his work ethic, how I'd taught him to be strong and never give up, how proud I was that he'd become a man who could handle anything life threw at him. After the reception, I overheard Tommy talking to his cousin. Dad's speech was so typical, he said. It's like he sees me as a list of accomplishments, not a person. I don't think he's ever just told me he was proud of who I am, not what I've done. That comment haunted me for weeks. I tried to dismiss it, but I couldn't, because deep down, I knew he was right. I loved my children. I'd always loved them, but I'd never learned how to show them that love in a way they could feel. I'd spent so much time trying to make them strong that I'd forgotten to make them feel loved. Sarah's wedding 2 years later was worse. During her father-daughter dance, she was polite but distant. We moved around the floor in silence until she finally said, "Dad, do you even like who I am, or just what I've accomplished?" I didn't know how to answer that question, because the truth was, I didn't really know who she was. I knew she was a successful doctor, a high achiever, someone who never settled for second best. But what made her laugh? What scared her? What made her happy? I had no idea. After Sarah's wedding, I tried to change, started calling them more often, asking about their lives instead of their achievements. But the pattern had been set for decades. Our conversations were stilted, formal. They updated me on their careers and their children, but we never talked about anything real. When Janet got sick 8 years ago, the distance became even more obvious. Tommy and Sarah were constantly at the hospital, but they were there for their mother, not their father. They comforted her, held her hand, shared memories and inside jokes that didn't include me. I was the husband, but they were her family. I was on the outside looking in, and I finally understood why. Janet died on a Tuesday in November. At her funeral, Tommy and Sarah gave beautiful eulogies about what a loving, supportive mother she'd been, how she'd always believed in them, always encouraged them, always made them feel special just for being themselves. They didn't ask me to speak, and honestly, I don't think I could have. What would I have said? That I was proud of how she'd raised our children while I was busy trying to toughen them up? After the funeral, we went back to the house. Tommy, Sarah, and their families sat around the kitchen table sharing stories about Janet. Funny memories, sweet moments, times when she'd made them feel better about themselves. I sat in my chair in the living room, listening to them laugh and cry together, and realized I wasn't part of it. They weren't sharing memories about me because the memories weren't worth sharing. I'd given them discipline, structure, high expectations. Janet had given them love, acceptance, joy. Guess which one they remembered? Guess which one mattered? That night, after everyone left, I sat in my empty house and finally understood what I'd done wrong. I'd spent 30 years teaching my children how to achieve, but I'd never taught them that they were loved. I'd prepared them for success, but I'd failed to give them the one thing they actually needed: me, their father. Not their critic, not their coach, not their drill sergeant, just their father, who loved them unconditionally and was proud of them for who they were, not what they accomplished. I tried to fix it, started reaching out more, trying to have different kinds of conversations. But you can't undo 30 years of conditioning in a few phone calls. When I told Tommy I was proud of him, he assumed I meant proud of his promotion. When I told Sarah I loved her, it sounded forced and unfamiliar. The damage was done. I'd raised children who were successful but didn't trust their father with their real selves, who'd learned that love had to be earned through achievement, who'd spent their whole lives trying to be good enough for a man who never told them they already were.
Now I'm 76 years old, and my children just at me out of obligation. They're polite, respectful, dutiful. They check on my health, they manage my finances, make sure I'm taken care of. But they don't stay long, and they don't seem to enjoy being here. Why would they? I spent their entire childhood teaching them that I was more interested in their performance than their feelings, that my approval had to be earned through achievement, that love was conditional on meeting my standard.
I have grandchildren now, beautiful kids who barely know me. When Tommy and Sarah bring them to visit, the children are polite but distant. They don't run to Grandpa for hugs. They don't ask me to read them stories or play games. They sense what their parents learned long ago, that I'm not the fun adult, not the comforting adult, not the adult who makes you feel special just for being you. The worst part is watching how my children parent their own kids. They're loving, encouraging, supportive. They celebrate small victories, comfort, hurt feelings, show affection freely. They're everything I wasn't. And their children adore them, the way mine should have adored me if I'd known what I was doing. I see young fathers today, and I want to grab them and tell them what I learned too late. Your children don't need you to be tough. They need you to be loving. They don't need constant correction. They need constant acceptance. They don't need to earn your pride. They need to feel it every single day, just for being themselves. The world will be hard enough on them. Home should be the place where they feel safe, valued, loved unconditionally. You should be the person who thinks they're wonderful, not the person who's always pointing out how they could be better. I thought I was preparing my children for the real world, but I robbed them of something more important than toughness. I robbed them of the security that comes from knowing your father delights in you, not in your achievements, not in your potential, but in you. If you're a father reading this, please learn from my mistake. Hug your children. Tell them you're proud of them, not for what they've done, but for who they are. Let them see that you enjoy their company, that you think they're funny and interesting and wonderful. Because here's what took me 53 years to learn. Children who feel loved become adults who can handle anything. Children who feel criticized become adults who never feel good enough. I raised successful children, but I failed to raise happy ones. I gave them tools for achievement, but I didn't give them the foundation of love and acceptance they needed to use those tools with joy. That's what took me 53 years to learn. That being a good father isn't about making your children tough enough for the world. It's about making them secure enough in your love that they can face the world with confidence. I learned this lesson too late to change how I raise my children. But maybe it's not too late to change how you raise yours.
I'm 76 years old, and I spent 53 years being wrong about the most important job I ever had. Don't make my mistake. Love your children more than you teach them. Accept them more than you correct them. Enjoy them more than you improve them, because in the end, that's what they'll remember. Not your lessons, but your love. And that's what will determine whether they visit you out of duties or desire when you're 76 and sitting alone in an empty house, wishing you could do it all over again.